Today in our is the exam preparation hour, we are going to start out with our environment. So this is also one of the important and simple chapter where you can make answers in your own wordings if you are clear with your concept. So let's start out with the line wise revision, then we'll discuss like what are the important questions which could be asked in this chapter. So let's start with, we have heard the word environment often being used on the television, in newspapers, and by people around us. Our elders tell us that the environment is not what is used to be earlier. Others says that we should work in a healthy environment. So we often use this word. So many times it comes across like our environment is not healthy or environment is not like earlier. So all these words we are going to use. The global summit involving the development and developed and developing countries are regularly held to discuss environmental issues. If you recall back in geography section, we had this like environmental issues discussion um, held in discussions environmental issue. In this chapter, we shall be studying how various components in the environment interact with each other and how we impact the environment. So let's start out. So here, ecosystem. What is ecosystem and its components? All organisms such as plants, animal, microorganisms and human beings as well as physical surroundings interact with each other and maintain a balance in nature. All the interacting organisms in an area together with the non-living constituents of the environment form the ecosystem. So those are attending can underline this sentence. What is an environment? So environment is a interacting system where the living and non-living component live together, forms ecosystem. So all the interacting organisms in an area together with the non-living constituents of the environment. So here living with non-living constituent forms the ecosystem. Thus an ecosystem consists of biotic component. So when we see ecosystem is made up of biotic and abiotic component. So what is biotic component? The living component are called biotic component. Environment is made up of living and non-living components. So here we can classify it as biotic and abiotic component of the ecosystem. Thus an ecosystem consists of biotic component comprising living organism and abiotic component comprising physical factors like temperature, rainfall, wind, soil and mineral. Abiotic component is made up of physical factors, that is non-living factors. Non-living factors of the environment like temperature, rainfall, wind, soil and mineral. So the first important topic of this chapter, they can ask about what is environment. Interacting, all interacting organisms in an area together with living and non-living constituent of the environment is called ecosystem. Then what are the factors of ecosystem? There are two factors in ecosystem. One is biotic factor, other is abiotic factor. So here one example is given. For example, if you visit a garden, you will find different plants such as grasses, trees, flower, bearing plants like rose, jasmine, sunflower, and animals like frog, insects, and birds. All these living organisms interact with each other and their growth, reproduction, and other activities are affected by the abiotic component. So here all these organisms are interacting. When we visit any ecosystem, like it can be garden ecosystem or aquatic ecosystem, forest ecosystem, every ecosystem is made up of living and non-living factors. They interact with each other. So in this chapter, you need to find out like what are the main components of particular ecosystem. So this is the general example which you need not to keep in mind, like all the living organism interact with each other and they depend on each other. So these points are not so important. We can skip it out. So let's start out with the next topic. We have seen in earlier classes that organism can be grouped as producers. So this already you did in bio section, chapter number 6. The same thing you can write over here. Here the organisms are grouped as producers, consumers and decomposers according to the manner which they obtained their subsistence form of from the environment. So let us recall what are producer. So producer, those are producing their food. So green plants comes under producer, where they prepare their food, where they synthesize their food by using non-living um, components. So here, which organisms can make organic compounds like sugar and starch from the inorganic substance using a radiant energy of the sun in presence of chlorophyll. So better than writing in your own form, you can use a particular definition from the textbook that will be more beneficial and more scoring. For the producers, use this definition: organism which make organic compound like sugar and starch from inorganic substances. Okay, inorganic substances using a radiant energy, that is solar energy, from sun in presence of chlorophyll. Now, all green plants and certain bacteria which can produce food by photosynthesis come under the category of producer. So what are producers? All those organisms which can synthesize their food comes under producers. So in that sense, um, some bacteria and green plants, some bacteria are also included as producers. They are blue-green bacteria. Now, organisms depend on producer either directly or indirectly for their survival. Organisms which consume the food produced either directly from producers or indirectly by feeding on other consumers are called consumers. So who are consumers? Consumers are those category who are either directly consuming the food from producers or indirectly. So here, Vivek, we covered the first page. In first page only, you need to learn about ecosystem definition. There you can get the ecosystem definition, where we are having two interacting components. When the components of the ecosystem interact among themselves for the survival, it forms an ecosystem. Then what are the components of ecosystem? Now we are discussing, that is producers, consumers. Producers who can produce their food. So here, like definition is given very nicely. Better use the textual definition about producers, okay, who can prepare the organic food like sugar and starch from inorganic substances using radiant energy or solar energy in presence of chlorophyll. Then next one, consumers. So organisms which depend on producers are called consumers. Now imagine the situation where do producers, consumers and decomposers. All the three you need to learn the definitions. Okay. Now imagine the situation where you do not clean the aquarium and some fish and plants have died. So here they're discussing about the consumers. So some of the fishes got died or some plants got died in the aquarium. Have you ever thought what happens when an organism dies? The microorganism comprising of bacteria and fungi break down the dead remains and waste products of organism. These microorganisms are decomposers. So what are decomposers? Which will decompose the dead remains of plants and animals. So these microorganisms are decomposer as they break down the complex organic substance. So this definition is a perfect one which you can use. So decomposers are those organisms which break down the complex organic substance into simple inorganic substance that go into the soil and are used once more by the plant. So what will happen to the garbage and the dead animals and plants in their absence? If the decomposers are not there, what is going to happen? In absence of decomposers, they will get accumulated. Will the natural replenishment of the soil take place? No. The natural replenishment will not take place, as the decomposers are decomposing the component and they are giving back those component to soil again. Now the next one, food chain. This page is most important of this chapter. So concentrate on this page, food chain and food web. So here we have formed a series of organisms feeding on one another. So these series of organisms taking part at various biotic level form a food chain. So what is food chain? Series of organisms which forms a part in biotic level. Okay, so series of organisms which can be either eat or be eaten by other organism are called food chain. Each step or level of the food chain forms a trophic level. So what are the different trophic level? So trophic level, when the organisms are arranged in the form of pyramid, they forms a trophic level. So out of this trophic level, autotrophs are the highest one. Autotrophs or the producers are at the first trophic level. They fix up the solar energy and make it available for the intertrophs or the consumer, for the heterotrophs or the consumers. So your autotrophs are the first level of organism which are trapping out the sun energy and preparing the food, and they forms the next level for consumers. So here the herbivore or primary consumers comes at the second level. So each like stepwise you need to remember, and this page is the most important one for everyone. Learn this page thoroughly. So most of the questions will be getting from this page only for this environment. Okay, so here the heterotrophs or the primary consumers come at the second, or the small carnivore or secondary consumers at the third, and the large carnivore on the tertiary consumers form the fourth trophic level. So when we see the trophic level, it will be having the four levels. So first one is producers, then primary consumer, secondary consumer, followed by tertiary consumer, and then at last the fourth tertiary consumers, that is the fourth level. We know that the food we eat act as a fuel to provide us energy to do work. Thus, the interaction among the various components of environment involves flow of energy from one component of the system to another. So, how the energy flow is taking place? The first, solar energy is being taken by the producers. Producers use those energy to convert into organic food from the inorganic form. So thus the solar energy is getting stored in the producers. From the producers, that energy will transfer to the primary consumers, those who are taking it. So now when we see this, from the producers, this will be entering into the different levels of the consumer. Now, the total energy, whatever is taken by the producers, whatever is produced by the producers, will not transfer directly to the primary consumers. So, this topic is very important. Concentrate this, and if you are having textbook, you can underline this. We know that food we eat acts as a fuel and provides fuel and provide energy to work. Energy to do work. Thus, the interaction among various components of the environment involve flow of energy from one component of the system to another. As we have studied, autotrophs capture the energy present in sunlight and convert it into chemical energy. So, autotrophs are trapping out the energy and converting it into 10% rule. That's very important. Okay, so learn that thoroughly. So, they will transfer it to the another level. Autotrophs capture the energy present in the sunlight and convert it into chemical energy. This energy supports all activity of the living world. From autotrophs, the energy goes to the heterotrophs and decomposers. However, as we saw in the previous chapter on solar sources of energy, when one form of energy is changed into another, some energy is lost to the environment in the form which cannot be used again. So here, whenever there is transfer of energy from one form to another form, there is loss of energy. Okay, here the energy is getting transferred. Solar energy is getting converted into chemical energy and is stored in the food. So whenever there is transfer of energy, some energy will get lost, which cannot be regained back. So here, the same thing is happening here also. The flow of energy between the various components of environment have been extensively studied. And it has been found that from here you need to memorize very perfectly all these points, so which are with the bullet forms. The green plants in terrestrial ecosystem capture about 1% of energy of the sunlight that falls on their leaves and convert it into food energy. Repeating once again that point, whatever the energy falls on. Okay, Ayush, good afternoon. Nice, today also you are attending. Um, Okay, Vivek, energy is neither produced nor it be destroyed. Uh, it's not destroying. We use the word it got lost. Okay. Even in physics, we come across Joule's heating effect. So some of the energy being lost in the form of heat, there it comes. Okay. So it's not like it is getting wasted. Hmm. Okay, next. So here, these points, once again, I'm repeating. Pay attention for that. First one, the green plant in the terrestrial ecosystem capture 1% of energy of the sunlight. Green plants are capturing only 1% of the sunlight which falls on their leaves and convert it into food. When the green plants are eaten by primary consumers, a great deal of energy is lost as heat to the environment. Some amount goes into digestion and in doing work, and the rest goes towards growth and reproduction. As average of 10% of the food eaten is turned into its own body and made available for the next level of consumers. So here, अच्छा फिफ्थ सेमेस्टर कंप्लीट हो गया है। तुम्हारा कौन सा मतलब स्ट्रीम लिया हुआ है इंजीनियरिंग में, आयुष? आयुष, कौन सा स्ट्रीम है? कंप्यूटर साइंस है। वेरी गुड। ठीक है, मतलब अपना फ्यूचर तुम कंप्यूटर साइंस में ही सेटल करना चाहते हो या फिर समथिंग एल्स? जैसे कि अभी मेरे बेटे का ही डिड engineering from IIT Palakkad, civil engineering, and then now he's preparing for civil services UPSC in Delhi. So वहाँ पे उसने विजन IAS में एडमिशन लिया, वो प्रिपेयर कर रहा है। एडमिशन तो कर लिया था बट ही वॉज नॉट एट ऑल इंटरेस्टेड इन दैट सिविल इंजीनियरिंग। बाद में फिर कि मुझे इसमें अपना सेटल नहीं करना है लाइफ, आई वांट समथिंग एल्स। तो वैसे फर्दर प्लानिंग्स क्या है? अगर कुछ यूपीएससी वगैरह करना चाहते हो तो बेटर आई एडवाइस कि अभी से ही प्रिपरेशन शुरू कर लो, या तो ज़्यादा अच्छा रहेगा। लास्ट जैसे मतलब लास्ट ईयर जो होता है, मोस्ट ऑफ द स्टूडेंट्स इंजीनियरिंग करते समय वेस्ट करते हैं। दे फील लाइक दे हैव टू चिल आउट एंड दे आर गेटिंग द फ्री टाइम नाउ ओनली, क्योंकि ये जो इंजीनियरिंग है काफ़ी बहुत स्ट्रगल के बाद 11th-12th बहुत पढ़ने के बाद मेहनत से मिलता है। उनको लगता है कि अब हम लोग का लाइफ हम लोग एंजॉय कर रहे हैं, तो वाई टू गेट मोर टेंशन। मैकेनिकल या इलेक्ट्रिक या ऑटोमोबाइल इंजीनियरिंग करना था? अच्छा, रेलवे में जाना है। ठीक है, रेलवे में जाने के लिए कोई इश्यूज़ नहीं है ना। तुम जैसे रेलवे के रिक्रूटमेंट वाले निकलते हैं वो कर सकते हो, या फिर ट्रिपल इंजीनियरिंग का जो होता है एंट्रेंस टेस्ट, उसमें से का मतलब वो अगर क्लियर कर लेते हो तो डायरेक्टली हाई पोस्ट पे आ जाता है ना। ओके। नहीं, रेलवे का मतलब काफ़ी थोड़ा मतलब कम स्ट्रगल के साथ भी अच्छे पोस्ट पे जा सकते हो, या फिर मतलब यूपीएससी के थ्रू भी हमको रेलवे के हाई पोस्ट मिलते हैं ना। इट्स नॉट लाइक थ्रू रेलवे रिक्रूटमेंट बोर्ड ओनली विल बी गेटिंग दैट। ट्रिपल ई से भी उसका हमको डायरेक्टली पोस्ट मिल सकता है, या फिर यूपीएससी से भी मिल सकता है। लोको पायलट, ए लोको पायलट बन के क्या करोगे? इट्स अ टफ जॉब एंड नॉट एट ऑल लाइक मतलब पैसे थोड़े ज़्यादा आते हैं, लेकिन रेस्टलेस हो जाता है ना। टाइमिंग्स कोई अच्छे नहीं रहते हैं कि जब मतलब वर्क पे बुलाया जाता है उस टाइम पे जाना पड़ता है। कभी रात का होता है, नींद वगैरह ठीक नहीं रहता है, हेल्थ इश्यूज़ बहुत आते हैं। एंड मोस्टली लोको पायलट्स जो है वो थोड़े से ड्रिंकर्स भी बन जाते हैं, क्योंकि उनको सारे समय पे अपने आप को थोड़ा सा अवेक रखना होता है। मेरे हस्बैंड रेलवे में हैं और लोको पायलट हमारे फैमिली में से बहुत सारे हैं। हम लोग, मेरे फादर रेलवे से हैं। फादर मैकेनिकल कैटेगरी से, ही वाज अ like what that time some post was there, I don't remember. Okay. ए, टिकट कलेक्टर के लिए तेरे को इंजीनियरिंग पढ़ने का ज़रूरत नहीं है। 10th पास के बाद भी टिकट कलेक्टर बन सकते हैं। ठीक है? चाइल्डहुड ड्रीम है कि टिकट मास्टर बनना है, स्टेशन मास्टर बनना है, टिकट कलेक्टर बनना है, तो इसके लिए इतना सारा पढ़ाई करने का ही ज़रूरत नहीं है, वो तो आराम से बन जाते हैं। टिकट कलेक्टर बहुत बड़ा मतलब पोस्ट नहीं होता है रेलवे में। ठीक है, वो नॉर्मल हम लोगों को लगता है जब हम ट्रेन में जा रहे हैं तो ये ब्लैक कोट पहन के हम सबसे आके पूछ रहा है, मतलब इसका पोस्ट बहुत बड़ा है. सो इन रियल सेंस इट्स नॉट अ वेरी लाइक हाई पोस्ट. मेरे हिसाब से मुझे लगता है कि तुमको अपना ड्रीम चेंज करना चाहिए. लोको पायलट या फिर टिकट कलेक्टर के लिए इतना पढ़ाई करने का ज़रूरत नहीं है, ना इधर इतना सिंसियर स्टूडेंट बनने का ज़रूरत है. अगर मतलब रेलवे में कुछ ड्रीम करना चाहते हो तो हाई पोस्ट के लिए सोचो. जैसे जो हम लोगों को ये डीआरएम, असिस्टेंट डीआरएम या फिर ये इंजीनियरिंग पोस्ट पे बहुत बड़े बड़े पोस्ट होते हैं, तो वो सारे हमारे ग्रेड वन ऑफिसर्स के पोस्ट होते हैं. सारे फैसिलिटीज़ उनको मिलते हैं. बंगलो फैसिलिटी मिलता है, सर्वेंट्स का फैसिलिटी मिलता है, उनके लिए गाड़ी आता है, ड्राइवर होता है, वो उनको ड्रॉप करता है जहाँ पे ऑफिस होता है वहाँ पे. तो वो सब कुछ ज़्यादा अच्छा होता है कंपेयर टू व्हाट यू आर चूजिंग. ठीक है, अपना जो चाइल्डहुड ड्रीम है उसको चेंज करो. चाइल्डहुड में हम लोग चिल्ड्रन होते हैं, हमको पता नहीं होता रियलिटी के बारे में. जो हम देखते हैं हमको लगता है कि बस यही चीज़ अच्छा है, यही बहुत है. ठीक है, बट रियल सेंस में वो काफ़ी दूर है रियलिटी से. तो अब अपने लिए टारगेट कुछ और कर लो. थिंक फॉर हाई. ट्रिपल ई का जो एग्ज़ाम होता है उसका थोड़ा सा इन्फॉर्मेशन गैदर करो. ठीक है, नहीं वही ट्रिपल ई का एग्ज़ाम्स जो होते हैं वो क्लियर करोगे तो डायरेक्टली काफ़ी मतलब हाई पोस्ट में मिलता है. यू कैन गो इन रेलवेज ओनली, बट थोड़े हाई थिंकिंग करो. एक बार सोच के देखो, एक बार अपने पेरेंट्स के साथ डिस्कस करो व्हाट आई सेड. क्योंकि रियलिटी बहुत डिफरेंट है. लोको पायलट बनना है या फिर नहीं तो टीसी बनना है या फिर स्टेशन मास्टर बनना है, तो इसके लिए इतना मेहनत करके पढ़ाई करने का ज़रूरत नहीं है. चलो अब हम लोग चैप्टर पे वापस जा रहे हैं. ठीक है आयुष, अब मैं थोड़ी बातें बंद कर रही हूँ. विल कंटिन्यू विद द एक्सप्लेनेशन. हमको ये चैप्टर आज ख़त्म करना है. ओके, नेक्स्ट वन, 1% rule as we discussed. So whatever the energy, solar energy is falling on the plants, green plants, they are just using the 1% of that and they convert it into food, and whatever the food they are generating, they will utilize for their own growth, and 10% they will pass out to the next level. So that 10% is taken by the consumer. Therefore, the 10% can be taken as an average value of amount of organic matter that is present in at each step and reaches the next level. So every like trophic level is providing 10% to the further trophic level. So when we see in this way, so energy passes is getting reduced. Since so little energy is available for the next level of consumer, food chain generally consists of only 3 to 4 steps. 3 or 4 steps. This is also a very important question. Why the food chain is made up of 3 or 4 steps. विवेक ये वाला एक अंडरलाइन कर लो, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. एक 10% रूल और why the food chain is generally made up of 3 or 4 levels of organism. Next, food chain generally consists of only 3 or 4 steps. फिर next one, the loss of energy at each step is so great that very little usable energy remains after 4 trophic level. So why the food level is not having more than 4 levels? Because very less energy is present after 4 levels. After the 4 trophic level, there are generally a greater number of individuals at the lower trophic level of an ecosystem. The greatest number is of producers. So when we see the trophic level, here you can see, when we see the pyramid, the base one is longest among all. So here the producers are more. Trophic level of ecosystem, greatest number of producers are there. The length and complexity of the food chain vary greatly. Each organism is generally eaten by 2 or more organisms. This comes the food web. What is food web? When we see food chain, each food chain is interconnected. One of the like one or more organisms are eaten by one or more other organisms. The length and complexity of the food chain vary greatly. Each organism is generally eaten by 2 or more other kind of organisms, which in turn are eaten by several other organisms. So instead of straight line food chain, the relationship can be shown as a series of branching line called food web. So this last paragraph is important. Okay, what is food web and what is food chain? Next, what is 1% rule, and why the food chain is not having more than 4 organisms or more than 4 components. Okay, next one. For this page, like how we can say that energy flow is unidirectional. Unidirectional means energy always flows from sun to other organism. It will never return back to sun again. From the energy flow diagram, two things become clear. Firstly, the flow of energy is unidirectional. The energy that is captured by the autotrophs does not revert back to the solar input, and the energy which passes to the herbivore does not come back to the autotrophs. So herbivores are eating autotrophs. So energy is passing out from autotrophs to herbivore. It never return back to autotrophs again. As it moves progressively throughout the various trophic level, it is no longer available to the previous level. Secondly, the energy available at each trophic level gets diminished progressively. Even the energy is getting diminished, reduced. So that is due to that 1% rule which we studied. Only 10% will be passing out to the next level. Diminished progressively due to loss of energy at each level. Another interesting aspect of food chain is how unknowingly some harmful chemicals. So this already we discussed biological magnification. Okay, this is also a very important question of this chapter. In case study, we got this question when we were solving model papers. So another interesting aspect of food chain is how unknowingly some harmful chemicals eaten enter our body through the food chain. You have read in class 9th how water get polluted. One of the reason is use of several pesticides. So how the things are getting polluted? There is use of pesticides. Pesticides and other chemicals to protect the crop. So many pesticides and chemicals are used to protect the crop from disease and pest. These chemicals are either washed down into the soil. So when these chemicals are used on the crop, they will either washed out into the soil or in water bodies. So they are entering in water bodies and polluting them. From the soil, these are absorbed by the plants. So these chemicals, as they are harmful pesticides, harmful chemicals, DDT, so these are entering into the plant bodies through the soil as the roots absorb them along with the water and mineral. And from the water bodies, these are taken by aquatic plants. So whatever we are seeing, these harmful things are entering into plant, either from the water or from the soil. And from the plant, they are entering into animal. So this is one of the way in which they enter the food chain. So once they entered into plant means they are entering into the food chain. Then as these chemicals are not degradable, so these are non-biodegradable, these are non-degradable, so these get accumulated progressively at each trophic level. So underline this paragraph. So these chemicals are getting accumulated in each trophic level as human beings occupy the top level in any food chain. The maximum concentration of these chemicals get accumulated in our body. So as human beings comes under the top level of the ecosystem, so thus most of the non-biodegradable chemicals get concentrated in human body. So this phenomenon is known as biological magnification. So if we recall back, what are the important questions? First one is ecosystem definition. Then what are the components of ecosystem? Then 1% rule. Then after that 1% rule, how the energy flow is unidirectional. Then 10% rule. Then how the energy flow is unidirectional. Then biological magnification. So what is biological magnification? This is the reason why our food grains such as wheat and rice, vegetables and fruits and even meat contains varying amount of pesticides residue. So why the pesticides are present in all the eatables which we are taking? The reason is because they are entering to us by biological magnification. They cannot always be removed by washing or other means. So these are entering, but we cannot remove them by simple washing. Okay, why human comes at the top? Why humans comes at the top means like if we see the aquatic organism like aquatic ecosystem or the terrestrial ecosystem or the cropland ecosystem, so everywhere human beings are at the top who are consuming everything. If we take the example of aquatic ecosystem, these pesticides all are washed away from the crop and they entered into the pond water or the river water. They are present now, and the plants which are there in the water, their roots are absorbing it through ecosystem. Sometimes they are phytoplanktons, so either that plants are eaten by the animals, sometimes as a seafood, or sometimes that plant parts are taken by the fish, and that fish is eaten by some bigger fish, and ultimately human beings captures either the small fish or the big fish and they make it their meal. So either in the form of plant they are entering into the human beings, or in the form of fish they are entering, or some water animals which are taken by the human beings. Through their form they are entering. In the same way, in the soil the pesticides are present, so that pesticides are entering into the uh, plants. Those plants are eaten by herbivore, then herbivore are eaten by carnivore, carnivore are eaten by omnivore. Human beings comes under omnivore. So again the accumulation is more in human beings. Either we are taking the plant product directly or indirectly via animals. In both the cases they are entering into human bodies maximum. So we call like human beings are at the top level who consumes most of the pesticides. Okay. Now, a few questions are there. What are trophic levels? Already we did. Example of the food chain, state different trophic levels. Then, what is the role of decomposers in ecosystem? So, this question is also important. Then, ozone depletion. Okay, this is the next important topic of the chapter, ozone depletion. We are an integral part of environment. Changes in the environment affect us and our activities change the environment around us. So here environment is affecting us and even our activities are also affecting the environment. We already seen in class 9 how our activity pollute the environment. In this chapter, we shall be looking at two of the environmental problems in detail. So first one is depletion of ozone layer and second one is waste disposal. So first one is ozone layer depletion. How ozone is formed? So here ozone, its formula is O3, is a molecule formed by 3 atoms of oxygen. While oxygen, which we normally refer as O2, we call as oxygen, is essential for all aerobic form of life. Aerobic means we undergo aerobic respiration in presence of oxygen. Ozone is a deadly poison. However, at the higher level of the atmosphere, ozone performs an essential function. So if the ozone is taken directly, it is deadly. But at high level, how it is working? It shells the surface of the earth from ultraviolet radiations from the sun. So it is shielding out. What is the main function of ozone? It prevents the ultraviolet rays to enter into our earth's atmosphere. So here it is entering into the environment. Repeating once again. So ozone, it is preventing the ultraviolet radiations from the sun. These radiation is highly damaging to organisms. So what is the effect of this ultraviolet radiation we are having on organism? So when this ultraviolet radiations enters into earth atmosphere, they causes cataract, skin cancer and many reproductive diseases. So those are being prevented by ozone. Okay, ozone at the higher level of the atmosphere is product of UV radiation. How the ozone is formed? Oxygen, if ultraviolet ray falls, oxygen will get split into 2 atoms of oxygen. On a molecular form of oxygen, when ultraviolet ray falls, it will get divided into atomic oxygen, that is single O. Okay, that is atomic oxygen, or we can say nascent oxygen. Now this oxygen is very active. It will react with molecular oxygen to form O3. Now once again repeating the theory part, ozone at higher level of the atmosphere is product of UV radiation acting on oxygen molecule. The higher energy UV radiation will split apart some molecule of oxygen into free oxygen. They are dividing the molecular oxygen into free oxygen atom. These atoms then combine with the molecular oxygen. Free atom will again combine with molecular oxygen and form it O3. The amount of ozone in the atmosphere began to drop sharply. So why this ozone is getting reduced? That is because of use of CFC, chlorofluorocarbon. Amount of ozone in the atmosphere began to drop sharply in 1980. The decrease has been linked to synthetic chemicals like chlorofluorocarbon, which is used in refrigerant and in fire extinguisher. So here CFC is used in refrigerant and fire extinguisher. So because of these, this ozone level is getting depleted. In 1987, United Nations Environment Program UNEP succeeded in forcing an agreement to freeze CFC production. So they made an agreement where to reduce the CFC production or freeze out by 1986. It is now mandatory for all the manufacturing companies to make CFC free refrigerator. So after 1986, they made it compulsory for all the manufacturing industries to have the manufacturing without CFC. So thus they reduce the CFC. Chlorine, when CFC is heated, it will produce chlorine. Chlorine has a capability to remove the oxygen from ozone. If oxygen molecule is removed from ozone, it will again get converted into molecular oxygen. So thus they activated where CFC should be avoided. Now managing the garbage we produce. So here in our daily activities, we generate lot of materials that are thrown away. What are some of these waste materials? What happens after throw them away? Let us perform an activity. So here they are dividing the waste into two categories, biodegradable and non-biodegradable. The waste which can be degraded, biodegradable, it should be kept in separate dustbin, whereas the non-biodegradable waste should be kept, kept in another one. We have seen in the chapter life processes that the food we eat is digested by various enzymes in our body. Have you ever wondered why the same enzyme does not break down everything we eat? So here we discussed like amylase, it acts only on carbohydrate. Then pepsin acts only on protein. Why the enzyme is not acting on everything? Because enzymes are specific in their action. Specific means they are particular in their action. They act on particular proteins only, particular things only. Specific enzyme are needed for the breakdown of particular substance. That is why we will not get any energy if we try to eat coal. Because of this, many human-made materials like plastic will not be broken down by the action of bacteria because they doesn't have any particular enzyme to break them or other saprophytes. So these materials will be acted upon by physical forces like heat and pressure, but under the ambient condition found in our environment, they persist for the long time. So here we don't have any particular process to get rid of those non-biodegradable waste like plastic. They remain in the environment for longer time. Substances that are broken down by biological process are said to be biodegradable, and which are not broken down, non-biodegradable. So that definition is sufficient. The chapter is over. So the last one, why are some of the biodegradable and non-biodegradable substances are there? Then give two ways in which biodegradable substances would affect. Okay, can you write, can you say about this, Vivek? Any two ways where the biodegradable substances would affect the environment? What will happen if there is accumulation of biodegradable waste in the environment? Think and write. Waiting for your reply. So first one, they will become, no, if there is accumulation of biodegradable waste, they will become the breeding site for mosquitoes. And as you wrote, there will be stinking smell. Okay, smell will be there, which is unbearable. Then it will become the site for rodents. Rats will increase in the surroundings. And so directly or indirectly, it will affect the health of the human beings. Chapter is over. Any more difficulty you have in this chapter? Anything else you have? So this got completed. Biomagnification already पढ़ लिया ना? Biological magnification मतलब this non-biodegradable waste get accumulated in high trophic level. So as human beings occupies the high trophic level, so more and more accumulation of non-biodegradable waste is in human body. So this accumulation is called biological magnification or biomagnification. इनके क्वेश्चंस अगर देख लें हम लोग, कुछ लास्ट ईयर के पेपर के कुछ क्वेश्चंस हो तो देखो आंसर्स देते जाओ. Which of the following group do not constitute the food chain? Which of the following group do not constitute the food chain? So here, wolf, rabbit, grass, lion, plankton, man, grasshopper, fish, hawk, grass, snake, grasshopper, frog. Grass, snake, wolf and tiger. Which of the following group do not constitute a food chain? Do not make a food chain. बताओ कौन सा ऑप्शन हो रहा है? So this was asked in 2025. Say answer quickly. Option number A. Check कर ले. आंसर रिव्यू नहीं कर रहा है. Okay. So first answer is food chain. Option number D. तुम्हारा आंसर गलत हुआ है. ठीक है. Option number D is grass and option number D second one plankton. देखो plankton को कभी भी man नहीं खाता है. Plankton मतलब aquatic plant. ठीक है. Plankton then man then grass ऊपर दिया है, फिर fish दिया है. So plankton is okay. Plankton is first eaten by fish. Then fish is in turn eaten by man. Grass ऊपर वहाँ पे कहीं पे भी नहीं आ रहा है. So हमारे options हुए D1, that is second and fourth one. Fourth one is grass, snake, wolf and tiger. Snake को wolf नहीं खाता है. Okay. Okay. Next one. The percentage of solar energy which is not converted into food chain but the leaves of green plants in a terrestrial ecosystem is about. ये भी हमने किया है. क्या आएगा आंसर बताओ जल्दी. विवेक आंसर बोल रहे हो? सेकंड वाले का percentage of solar energy which is not converted into food energy but leaves of green plant in a terrestrial ecosystem. Say answer quickly. B. Okay, let's check it. Option number D. Only 1% of sunlight that falls on green plant is converted into food energy. 99% of solar energy remains unutilized. Coming back with the question again, the percentage of solar energy which is not converted into food energy. Only 1% is converted into food energy. 99% does not convert into food energy. So correct option is option number D. B नहीं हो रहा बेटा, option D हो रहा है. Okay, someone Raj who is saying the answer. Option number D. Repeating once again question, the percentage of solar energy which is not converted into food energy. Only 1% is converted into food energy. Okay, 1% of solar energy it will use. So 100 minus विवेक तुम भी आंसर गलत दे रहे हो. क्वेश्चन ध्यान दो. सेकंड क्वेश्चन में आंसर है परसेंटेज ऑफ सोलर एनर्जी विच इज नॉट कन्वर्टेड इनटू फूड एनर्जी. सी भी नहीं है. ऑप्शन नंबर डी. 1% वो यूज़ कर रहा है. 100 माइनस 1 माने 99% को वो यूज़ नहीं कर रहा है. आंसर देखो नीचे दिया है. Only about 1% of sunlight that falls on green plant is converted into food energy. So, not utilized is 99%. Okay, next question. Two statements are given. One labeled as assertion and the other as, okay, first one assertion, the amount of ozone in the atmosphere began to drop sharply in 1980. Just now we discussed. It started dropping by 1980. Reason, the oxygen atom combines with the molecular oxygen to form ozone. Is it correct? Why the amount of ozone got reduced? What is the reason? The reason is like oxygen is getting combined with molecular oxygen, so it got reduced. So what's the answer? Option number A by Raj. Both A and R are true. Oxygen atom combined with molecular oxygen to form. Okay, both are correct. It's not correct explanation. R is correct explanation, you said. Raj, it's not correct explanation. Why the amount of ozone is getting depleted? Because of use of CFC. Okay. Ozone level dropped sharply in 1980 due to synthetic chemical CFC, not because of oxygen atom. Okay. Option number B. Both are correct, but it's not the correct explanation. Raj, is it clear? Vivek, you are not answering. Use of. So option number B will come. Both are correct, but it's not correct explanation. Now moving to the next question. Excessive use of chemical and pesticides in agriculture adversely affect the environment. Justify. So it was of 2 marks. Excessive use will lead to biological magnification. Okay, you need to write about that, biological magnification. So reading the answer for you, excessive use of pesticides and chemical in agriculture leads to their accumulation in soil and water. These chemicals enter the food chain through plants and aquatic organisms and are not degradable. They get progressively accumulated at each trophic level, and the process is called biological magnification. Okay, easy. Then we are skipping to the next question. Identify from the following group containing all non-biodegradable substance. Which option will come where non-biodegradable substances are there? Say quickly. Who will be the first? Vivek and Raj. Leather, glass, plastic, cotton, wood, nylon, DDT, polyester, glass, leather, silk and wool. Non-biodegradable. Say answer. Option C. DDT is non-biodegradable, polyester and glass. Okay, option C. DDT, polyester and glass cannot be broken down. Okay, now moving to the next question. Assertion and reason. Animals will not get energy if they eat coal as food. Just now we discussed. When we are eating coal as food, energy is not received. What is the reason? Because we don't have a particular enzyme to digest it. Here it is. Both the statements are correct and correct explanation. Just now we read. Okay? Raj, your answer was correct only. That was C only. So why you removed? Say answer for this assertion and reason fast. Say it quickly. Option number C. हाँ, say next answer. Both are true and correct explanation. So option number A. Next one, some harmful chemicals get accumulated in human bodies through the food chain. Name this phenomena. Please read what you want to read. Raj, what you want me to read? Please read something you are writing. What you want me to read? Raj, what you want me to read? Question 6. Question 6 is given. Assertion, animals will not get energy if they eat coal as food. Why they are not getting energy? Because they don't have specific enzyme to break down the particular food. So to digest the coal, they don't have any enzyme. So both the statements are true and it's correct explanation. Just now in the chapter discussion, we read this. If someone are eating coal, they will not get any energy because enzymes are particular in their action and they act on particular things only. Okay. So correct answer here is A. Next question, already many times we are getting, so you just type that biological magnification you need to learn very perfectly. Some harmful chemicals are getting accumulated in human bodies through the food chain. Name the phenomenon. Explain the reason for maximum concentration found in our bodies. So why the human beings are the more targeted one where these chemicals are accumulating. So that part in textbook it is given very nicely. Once you can go through with that. Next, other than the abiotic components, which of the given biotic components are not required to make an aquarium with small herbivore fishes a self-sustaining system? Read out the option and try to answer. DDT. Aquatic plants. Which answer you are writing? DDT. Option number B. 2 and 3. 2 is terrestrial plant and terrestrial animals. And third one is decomposer as bacteria and fungi. Okay, here ऊपर वाले का डीडीटी नहीं आएगा. वहाँ पे क्वेश्चन में पूछा है कि मतलब ह्यूमन बींग्स में ये ज़्यादा केमिकल्स क्यों एक्यूमुलेट होते हैं. ठीक है, तो आंसर अलग होगा. डीडीटी इट्स अ नॉन बायोडिग्रेडेबल मतलब इट इज़ अ नॉन बायोडिग्रेडेबल वेस्ट वेयर इट इज़ एक्यूमुलेटिंग इन ह्यूमन बॉडी. वो सेंस में तुमको एक्सप्लेन करना पड़ेगा. पहले बायोलॉजिकल मैग्निफिकेशन के बारे में लिखना है, उसके बाद उसका एक्यूमुलेशन मैक्सिमम ह्यूमन बींग्स में क्यों हो रहा है. क्योंकि एवरी ट्रॉपिक लेवल में जो टॉप लेवल होता है दैट इज ऑक्यूपाइड बाय ह्यूमन बींग्स. सो डायरेक्टली और इनडायरेक्टली इट इज एंटरिंग इनटू ह्यूमन बॉडी. ओके ओके, नेक्स्ट वन आंसर हो गया ऑप्शन नंबर डी. विवेक, ये तुम्हारा आंसर गलत निकला. तुमने बी लिखा है. डी में है सेकेंड एंड फोर्थ, टेरेस्ट्रियल प्लांट्स और कंज्यूमर्स एज क्लोन फिश एंड सी. देखो अब यहाँ पे तुमको कंज्यूमर में एक्वेरियम है. एक्वेरियम, हाँ राज, वेरी गुड, करेक्ट आंसर. तो यहाँ पे हमको एक्वेरियम में बड़े फिश वगैरह नहीं आएंगे ना, क्योंकि छोटे छोटे ही फिश उसके अंदर होंगे. और नेक्स्ट है, जो भी हमारा इकोसिस्टम होता है उसमें डिकम्पोजर्स आना काफ़ी ज़रूरी है. तो डिकम्पोजर्स वो बैक्टीरिया के फॉर्म में वाटर में रहेंगे, तो यू कैन नॉट स्किप आउट विद डिकम्पोजर्स. ओके, नाउ मूविंग टू द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. अब यहाँ पे दिया है use of jute bag for shopping reduces pollution. Jute is a biodegradable and its bag may be reused as and when needed. Are both the statements correct and correct explanation? So what will come? Which option will come? A, B, C or D? How B, Raj? A आएगा ना, क्योंकि दोनों करेक्ट है और करेक्ट एक्सप्लेनेशन ना. जी क्यों बायोडिग्रेडेबल हो रहा है, रिड्यूस पोल्यूशन क्यों कर रहा है. ठीक है, क्वेश्चन नंबर 10 का आंसर बता रहे हो. 10 पे क्यों पहुंच गए, अभी हम 9 डिस्कस कर रहे हैं ना. ठीक है, 9 के लिए हमारा करेक्ट एक्सप्लेनेशन ऑप्शन नंबर ए। 10th में आ गया, इन द फूड चेन गिवन बिलो सेलेक्ट द मोस्ट एफिशिएंट फूड चेन इन टर्म्स ऑफ एनर्जी। सो व्हाट इज द बेस्ट फूड चेन इन टर्म्स ऑफ एनर्जी? तुमने लिखा बी, ऑप्शन नंबर बी। एक बार देख लें, ऑप्शन सी करेक्ट आंसर है। देखो क्या एक्सप्लेनेशन दिया है, ऑप्शन नंबर सी। क्वेश्चन नंबर 10th में हमारा ऑप्शन सी कैसे हो रहा है, देखो, द शॉर्टेस्ट द फूड चेन द लेस एनर्जी इज लॉस्ट बिटवीन ट्रॉपिक लेवल। अब इसमें क्या दिया, देखो सी में प्लांट्स है, प्लांट्स के बाद मैन है। यहाँ पे क्या पूछा है कि इन द फूड चेन गिवन बिलो सेलेक्ट द मोस्ट एफिशिएंट फूड चेन इन टर्म्स ऑफ एनर्जी। कौन से फूड चेन में एनर्जी ज़्यादा होगा? फूड चेन जितना छोटा होगा उतना एनर्जी ज़्यादा होगा, क्योंकि फूड चेन अगर हमारा बढ़ते जाएगा तो एनर्जी ट्रांसफ़र कम हो जाएगा 10% रूल के हिसाब से। तो सबसे छोटा फूड चेन हमारा ऑप्शन सी हो रहा है, प्लांट और एनिमल से बना हुआ है। सो ऑप्शन सी इज़ द करेक्ट आंसर फॉर 10th वन। नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन नंबर 11, व्हाट आर डिकम्पोजर्स, गिव 2 एग्जाम्पल्स एंड हाउ दे मेंटेन द बैलेंस। ये तुम लोगों को आ जाएगा, कर लोगे खुद से। एग्जाम्पल ऑफ नेचुरल एंड मैन मेड इकोसिस्टम। व्हाट आर नेचुरल एंड मैन मेड इकोसिस्टम? जल्दी बताओ कौन सा होगा ऑप्शन। डेड एंड डिकेइंग ऑर्गेनिजम्स, एग्जाम्पल फंगी। हाँ, वेरी गुड। चलो नेक्स्ट बताओ 12th वाले का आंसर। 11th का दे दिया, हाँ 11th का पढ़ लिया ना मैंने, डेड एंड डिकेइंग डिकम्पोजर का तुमने आंसर दिया है, इट्स वेरी गुड। नेक्स्ट हमको बताओ जल्दी से, नेचुरल एंड मैन मेड इकोसिस्टम। वो क्वेश्चन देखो क्या है, ऑप्शंस में से कौन सा हो रहा है। एग्जाम्पल ऑफ नेचुरल एंड मैन मेड इकोसिस्टम, फॉरेस्ट एंड पॉन्ड, क्रॉप फील्ड एंड लेक, लेक एंड गार्डन, क्रॉप फील्ड एंड फॉरेस्ट। विच ऑप्शन इज करेक्ट? ओके विवेक, ऑप्शन नंबर सी करेक्ट आंसर। नेचुरल इकोसिस्टम, गार्डन एंड ह्यूमन मेड आर्टिफिशियल इकोसिस्टम। नेक्स्ट वन, एक्वेरियम कहाँ से लिखा राज तुमने? वहाँ पे ऑप्शन दिया हुआ है, एग्जाम्पल ऑफ नेचुरल एंड मैन मेड, लेक एंड गार्डन। नेचुरल हो गया लेक, और हाँ अब सही है ऑप्शन सी। अभी 13th क्वेश्चन पे ध्यान दो, क्वेश्चन नंबर 13, ह्यूमन एक्टिविटीज that are affected, human activities that are affecting the environment are, human activities that are affecting the environment. First one, minimizing the use of chlorofluorocarbon. If they minimize, it will not, it will like good effect. Excessive use of disposable cups and plates, minimizing the use of reusable utensils, minimize कर रहे हैं, अब use नहीं कर रहे हैं। सिग्रीगेशन ऑफ वेस्ट इनटू बायोडिग्रेडेबल एंड नॉन बायोडिग्रेडेबल डिस्पोजल, ठीक है, मतलब 2 अलग अलग डस्टबिन। ऑप्शन नंबर बी लिखा है विवेक, बी गलत है। चलो आंसर देख ले। बी में तुमको क्या बोला, एक्सेसिव यूज ऑफ डिस्पोजल कप्स। अगर हम कप्स को ज़्यादा यूज़ करेंगे तो हम एनवायरमेंट को, ओके, ह्यूमन एक्टिविटी दैट आर अफेक्टिंग द एनवायरमेंट, अफेक्ट कर रहा है। सही है विवेक, तुम्हारा आंसर सही है। हाँ, क्योंकि अगर हम ज़्यादा डिस्पोजल कप्स को अगर यूज़ करेंगे तो मतलब वो ज़्यादा और पोल्यूट करेगा ना। राज एक बार आंसर चेक कर लो, तुमने सी लिखा था। यहाँ पे पूछा है कि एनवायरनमेंट को, कौन सा एक्टिविटी एनवायरनमेंट को ज़्यादा इफेक्ट करेगा। अगर वो ज़्यादा डिस्पोजेबल कप्स यूज़ कर रहे हैं मतलब वो नॉन बायोडिग्रेडेबल है तो वो ज़्यादा यूज़ करेगा, ज़्यादा इफेक्ट करेगा। अभी 14th वाला पढ़ रहे हैं, देखो, वाई आर ऑर्गेनिज्म ऑफ फर्स्ट ट्रॉपिक लेवल इम्पॉर्टेंट इन एनी फूड चेन। वाई आर ऑर्गेनिजम्स ऑफ फर्स्ट ट्रॉपिक लेवल आर इम्पॉर्टेंट इन एनी फूड चेन? Can you answer or you want me to show the answer? Why first trophic level is important? Why are organism of first trophic level? They are producers. देखो अभी आंसर पढ़ रही हूँ, फर्स्ट ट्रॉपिक लेवल क्यों इंपॉर्टेंट है। विवेक करेक्ट है। The organism of the first trophic level known as producers are very important because they absorb the solar energy and convert it into केमिकल एनर्जी। फिर उसके बाद देखिए वो मैक्सिमम एनर्जी करके राज ने लिखा है, दे आर प्रोड्यूसर्स। हाँ, बस इसी बारे में तुम लोग को लिखना है। तो यहाँ पे दे स्टोर एनर्जी इन फूड, becomes a source of energy for all other organisms in the food chain such as herbivore, carnivore and decomposer. Without producers, no other organism could survive as they depend on. They could not survive like as they depend directly or indirectly on them. Okay, Ayush, again you are back. Now the next question. Next question. Justify the following statement: the flow of energy in ecosystem is unidirectional. ये भी हमने चैप्टर डिस्कस करते समय देखा था, ठीक है, कि हाउ द एनर्जी इज यूनिडायरेक्शनल, क्योंकि सन से जो एनर्जी है वो प्रोड्यूसर्स में जाता है, प्रोड्यूसर से अदर कंज्यूमर्स में जाता है, लेकिन कभी भी रिटर्न बैक सन पे नहीं होता है. सो इट इज़ यूनिडायरेक्शनल. तो एक डायरेक्शनल फ्लो करके तुम लोग एक्सप्लेन कर सकते हो. सो दिस क्वेश्चन इज ओवर. नेक्स्ट वन. अ गैस एक्स इज फाउंड इन अपर लेयर ऑफ द एटमोसफेयर. पूरे चैप्टर में हमको एक ही गैस के बारे में बात हुआ है, ओजोन के बारे में, which is deadly poisonous but it is still essential for the all life forms on the earth. क्यों essential है? क्योंकि वो AV रेडिएशन को प्रोटेक्ट कर रहा है, हम तक पहुंचने नहीं दे रहा है. आंसर आ गया. तो आइडेंटिफाई द गैस एंड स्टेट द मेन फैक्टर फॉर इट्स डिप्लीशन. सो व्हाट इज द मेन फैक्टर फॉर डिप्लीशन ऑफ ओजोन? व्हाट इज द मेन फैक्टर फॉर डिप्लीशन ऑफ ओजोन? जल्दी लिखो आंसर. CFCs. वेरी गुड. फिर उसके बाद है हाउ इज दिस गैस फॉर्म्ड इन अपर लेयर. हाउ दिस गैस इज फॉर्म्ड इन अपर लेयर. तो इसमें कैसे हो जाएगा? व्हेन यूवी रेडिएशन फॉल्स ऑन मॉलिक्यूलर ऑक्सीजन, ऑक्सीजन विल स्प्लिट एज यूवी रेज से मॉलिक्यूलर ऑक्सीजन विल स्प्लिट एज O oxygen atom. Then this oxygen atom will combine with molecular oxygen to form ozone. चैप्टर डिस्कशन के समय पे हमने कर लिया था. हाँ राज, तुमने अगर चैप्टर डिस्कशन नहीं देखा था तो हमने एक बार चैप्टर को ओवरऑल रिवाइज किया था. तुम वीडियो को आगे प्ले करके एक बार चैप्टर का रिवीजन कर सकते हो, जिससे सारे आंसर्स तुम्हारे आराम से कंप्लीट हो जाएंगे. फिर नेक्स्ट है आइडेंटिफाई द फूड चेन इन विच द ईगल रिसीव्स द हाईएस्ट एनर्जी फ्रॉम द प्रोड्यूसर. सो इस टाइप के तुम्हारे क्वेश्चंस होंगे, एक बार तुम लोग देख लेना. कंसिडर द फॉलोइंग चेन. हाँ, एक ये वाला क्वेश्चन भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होता है, ठीक है. हाँ देखो, ये वाला क्वेश्चन भी एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होता है, कैसे एनर्जी कैलकुलेट करना है. ये वाला एक यहाँ पे दिया हुआ है. इफ़ द अमाउंट ऑफ एनर्जी अवेलेबल एट द थर्ड ट्रॉपिक लेवल इज 50 किलो जूल, देन एनर्जी एट द प्रोड्यूसर लेवल. सो एट प्रोड्यूसर लेवल हाउ मच? 10% करके पीछे जाने का है. स्नेक करके कुछ लिखा है तुमने आंसर. अच्छा, अभी मेरे को क्लास वाइंड अप करना है. ये हम लोगों ने जो PYC पेपर्स लिए थे ना, मैंने एक बार वो तुम लोगों को लिंक दिखा दे रही हूँ, एक बार तुम लोग वहाँ से देख लेना. आयुष, अभी मेरा टाइम कंप्लीट हो गया, अभी तो मैं क्लास एंड करने वाली हूँ. कल थोड़ा सा वापस फिर से इसके डिस्कस कर ले. काफ़ी सारे क्वेश्चंस हैं, ये एक बार तुम लोग देख लो. इसका जो लिंक है मैं दिखा रही हूँ कि कहाँ से हमने ओपन किया था. देखो, ये पहला वाला है. इस लिंक पे तुम लोगों को सारे क्वेश्चंस मिल जाएंगे. एक मिनट. हाँ, एजुरेव. थोड़े से जो क्वेश्चंस बाकी रह गए हैं, यहाँ से एक बार खोल लो लिंक और क्वेश्चंस बाकी बचे वाले कंप्लीट कर लो, ठीक है. अभी कल कौन सा चैप्टर करना है, अगर कोई मेरे को कमेंट में करते हो तो वी विल स्टार्ट विद दैट. कल कौन सा चैप्टर करना है एक बार बता दो मुझे, तो कल हम लोग उसके डिस्कस कर लें. हाँ, अब मेरे को क्लास कंप्लीट करना है. अब घर पे ऑफलाइन ट्यूशन्स चालू हो जाएगा, बच्चे आ जाएंगे 6 बजे. सो आई एम वाइंडिंग अप. कल कौन सा चैप्टर लेना है? 10th वाले जो बच्चे अटेंड कर रहे हो प्लीज़ बताओ मेरे को, तो उसके हिसाब से हम कल शुरू करें क्लास. कल सीधा अगर हम क्वेश्चन पेपर सॉल्यूशन कर लें. लाइट. अच्छा, लाइट के न्यूमेरिकल्स करने हैं. विवेक, राज को लाइफ प्रोसेसेस करना है बोल रहा है. थैंक यू आयुष। ठीक है, तो एक दिन हम लोग लाइफ प्रोसेसेस कर लें और एक दिन हम लोग फिर लाइट वाला चैप्टर कर लें। लाइट वाले के न्यूमेरिकल्स एक बार करवा लूँगी, ठीक है? हाँ, राज हमारा जो क्लास है वो अराउंड 4:30 को शुरू होता है, तो 4:30 को तुम रेडी रहना ताकि तुम जॉइन कर सको। अगर तुमने सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है तो सब्सक्राइब कर लेना। आयुष, तुमने भी अभी तक मेरा चैनल सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया? हाँ, मेरा फुल नेम कुसुम बादम, KUSUM, कुसुम। लर्न विथ कुसुम बादम। ओके ओके आयुष, requesting you also to subscribe and have a regular watching on that. Okay, thank you for attending, those who attended today. It was a nice time. अच्छा कर लिया, थैंक यू। ठीक है, राज पांडे, ओके। हाँ, राज तुम्हारा लिखा है वहाँ पे राज करके, तो इतना मेरे को पता चल गया। आयुष वाले में आयुष है, कुछ कुछ लोगों का नाम अलग रहता है ना, तो थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम होता है। जैसे कोई अंकित भी था, पता नहीं वो कौन है। ओके, वाइंडिंग अप क्लास नाउ। थैंक यू।